Good evening and welcome back, everybody. I hope everyone had a good holiday season. I know it's been a little bit since my last toy review, and that's been due to several factors, holidays being one of them, and my search for this figure right here, or more specifically, a working copy of this figure. This is Power of the Primes, Rodimus Prime. I did a very short video pertaining to the issues I've had with these. This is my fourth copy of the toy now, because the first three copies I received were defective, and I'll go into more details on that here during the review. Okay, first things first, we're going to take a look at the box, because somebody told me I'm supposed to do that first, and I'm a people pleaser. So, it's the standard Generations liter size box that, you know, we should be accustomed to by now. It's got this nice dramatic picture of Rodimus Prime there on the front. You have the subline imprint here, Power of the Primes, Leader Class. It says Evolution Rodimus Prime. Little misleading, Evolution isn't actually part of the toy's name. When you go look at the character card, it's not mentioned on there. Alright, nothing special on the sides. Here we have, you know, the usual showing off the different forms, features of the toys. A little bit of a cross-sell here with the Prime Masters. Little blurb there. Bigger picture of Hot Rod on this side to contrast the Rodimus Prime picture. And then nothing special on the bottom. Here's the instruction booklet. Yeah, nice and big. You can just see that it's got a pretty, you know, decent level of detail. Shows the matrix storage, all that. Shows how you can stick a Prime Master in the matrix holder, which we'll explore. Here's his character card. Same picture from the box. And on this particular copy, we have a Megatronus symbol, which is my first one. Rodimus Megatronus. Uncontrollable and unstoppable. I feel like that would work for a lot of Transformers that had Megatronus' power, but, you know. Alright, the first form we're going to take a look at is Rodimus Prime's vehicle mode. It's very, very reminiscent of the vehicle mode of the original 1980s toy, which is obviously the point, but, you know, definitely evokes the feeling of that toy very well. Foil stickers really help kind of sell that 80s feel. He's got a weapon storage on the top here for his guns, which is entirely optional. You know, you can always take them off if you don't like the way that looks. Works really well. He does have glaring fists under the roof of his little trailer bit here, which to me that's kind of a problem. You know, it seems kind of lazy or cheap that they couldn't find a way to cover those up. I'm sure cost had a lot to do with that. And I mean, his feet are on the back, but they're not insanely obvious as feet in this mode, so that doesn't really bother me. Now, transformation to this mode requires rotating these exhaust pipes downward, which is what has been causing me all this trouble with my other copies of this toy. The copies that I've had prior to this, these assemblies were extremely tight to the point that when you try to rotate them, they would actually snap off. Specifically for me, it was on the right side, the right arm, that this would happen on. But they were always tight on both sides, and this figure is actually not really an exception. The assemblies are still really tight on here, but I have managed to rotate this thing fully against, you know, both of its built-in stops multiple times, and there doesn't seem to be any sign of, you know, breakage or wear. So I'm still a little nervous with this copy. You know, I still feel like there is some possibility of breakage down the road after repeated stresses, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, to transform this to Hot Rod's regular vehicle mode, it's actually pretty simple. You're just gonna kind of pull off these side exhaust pipes here. You're gonna carefully separate these pipes from that little side panel and rotate them. It's like a mini panic attack every time I have to do this. Okay, so far so good. Let's pull those back. And then you just pull it off. Set the trailer off to the side. That doesn't really do anything right now. And then you fold his exhaust pipes back, and that gives you Hot Rod's regular little race car mode. You know, it's very nice looking. It definitely serves as, you know, the obvious vehicle form for Hot Rod, and it looks really nice. You know, both of his vehicle modes look good. This one doesn't suffer from the whole giant fist sticking out on the top, but you know. Alright, now we have Hot Rod in his robot mode. This thing has been advertised as being deluxe size. It's actually a bit bigger than most normal deluxe figures. It's definitely designed to be very reminiscent of the original G1 Hot Rod toy, down to the color choices, the designs from the stickers, all that. He wields the two guns from his trailer. His stickers are pretty minimal, so they actually come off looking pretty good for this figure. You know, it's not overabundant, it's just used to highlight certain areas and make them really pop. It looks really nice. Right there. I really like this new version of Hot Rod. He kind of has a good blend of boxiness, which, you know, reminds you of an old 80s toy, but with modern, you know, design aspects and posability and sleekness too. I think, you know, this portion of the toy just came out fantastic all around. You know, he's got all the standard posability you need. His head swivels. He's got, like, you know, shoulder rotation, all that. No bicep swivel, but his bicep joint is a ball joint, so good range of motion there. You know, legs move all around. Not ankle tilt, sorry, but the ankles do go back and forth there. No actual sideways ankle tilt, though. There's just a built-in diagonal in them. One thing that may make or break this toy for you, as far as, you know, whether or not you consider this to be a quintessential Hot Rod toy, being accurate to the original figure, his fists are molded in orange plastic. However, people are used to Hot Rod being portrayed with having his hands be the same color roughly as his face here, this like grayish white. So, you know, this does make it much more accurate to the toy than like the character's animation model or, you know, usual fictional appearances. I know some people do complain about the orange fists. They feel it's unnecessary, that Hasbro should just go ahead and make these, you know, white like his face, but it's a minor gripe, doesn't bother me really. Here's a comparison of him with the most recent Hot Rod toy, which was the Titans Return Deluxe class. Mentioned earlier how this guy is, you know, a bit bigger than most deluxes, and you can kind of see that size difference here. The Titan's Return Hot Rod was a much more stylized hot rod. You know, he strayed much more from the original design, both the toy and the animation model. So they were trying to, you know, kind of give him a more updated look. Whichever one of these you prefer, whether you need, you know, you're kind of a purist, you want to stick to the original design, or you're looking for something different, that's kind of up to you. I personally consider the Titan's Return toy to be like the IDW hot rod, or, you know, the closest thing we'll ever get to it, because he does have some features that kind of resemble, you know, Rodimus's appearance in those comics. And here we have our guy posed with Masterpiece Hot Rod, which is arguably the most, you know, screen accurate figure out there. So you can kind of see how he compares to that. Colorations are obviously quite different. Again, he was designed with the bright red of the original toy, whereas he is given this almost like a magenta color that Hot Rod had in the movie and the animated series. You know, Masterpiece is obviously going to be more, you know, more detailed, more articulated, more complex. So if you're willing to fork out the money for a Masterpiece and, you know, you're just looking for the absolute essential hot rod, the Masterpiece is still the way to go. But if you're just looking to keep this on a retail budget, this can definitely serve as, you know, my 1986 hot rod. Now, the transformation from hot rod to Rodimus Prime is very interesting. You are combining hot rod with the rear section of his, you know, Rodimus vehicle mode to create this new, much larger, you know, liter-sized robot. It's a stark contrast from the relationship between Hot Rod and Rodimus with the original toy run, in that they were two completely separate toys. Hot Rod was just a robot that turned into a car. Rodimus was, you know, the whole larger vehicle where the front car portion would turn into the Rodimus Prime robot, which was a bit bigger than Hot Rod. And then that back trailer bit would actually turn into like a little battle station form, similar to how Optimus Prime's trailer turned into a battle station. That bit has been completely nixed from this reimagining. There is no battle station mode for the back section. Instead, it just becomes the lower body and also lower arms of the bigger Rodimus Prime robot. You see the arms just come off completely. They're separate pieces that are going to attach to, you know, the hot rod bit, making this what people refer to as a parts former. It's received a lot of criticism for that. Some people are very much against parts formers in general. They feel, you know, it's lazy, bad design. Me personally, I'm kind of neutral to the concept. I don't care too much if a toy has a parts forming bit once in a while, especially if it's just absolutely necessary, the transformation. But my opinion isn't everybody's, and I do understand the criticism. Another thing you're going to notice is Rodimus's matrix is contained here inside of the actual trailer portion, so it doesn't go into Hot Rod himself at all. That's something that I do find a little weird. You know, it is unfortunate that Hot Rod can't carry the matrix within himself, that it just kind of goes into an auxiliary section of him, but I don't really see another way they could have designed it to work. So here's a closer look at the matrix itself. The shape of it is, you know, very much based on how the Matrix appears in Transformers the movie. The colors are very different, though. Normally the handle section is like a silver color, and then the core part is like a orangish or a goldish. The whole reason the colors are different on this is because the standard Matrix colors are actually already used for the Optimus Prime toy from this toy line. And each leader class is going to have a matrix of a different color, so Hot Rod kind of got gypped there. You may notice that the center core seems to be shaped like a Titan Master or Prime Master, and that's intentional. It's designed to actually come out of this holder here. Doesn't turn into anything, it's just a solid block of clear plastic. But it is designed to be inserted anywhere that a Titan Master, Prime Master, or Enigma of combination can be inserted. So you can, you know, do all kinds of wacky stuff, have matrix heads, you know, whatever works. And then, you know, conversely, the holder piece is designed to hold anything that would be shaped like a Prime Master. That's primarily intended to be used with the Prime Masters to provide these leader classes with the power-ups of the respective, you know, Prime. And lastly, we have Rodimus Prime. He is a very bulky, imposing looking figure. You know, much thicker looking, much more, I guess, muscular looking than I'm really accustomed to picturing any version of Hot Rod, even if it's Rodimus. But I don't dislike it. I think, you know, they really wanted to show that this was a real upgrade from just plain Hot Rod. And this really shows it. He looks powerful. He looks like a leader. He looks like the robot to replace Optimus Prime. He wields his classic rifle that the original toy had, which is comprised of the two smaller guns from Hot Rod. I pointed out how the lower arms just kind of attach to the central, you know, Hot Rod bit here. They're a bit of a pain to clip on. You know, it requires a good deal of force, which does kind of give me some longevity concerns for those clips that are used on it. You know, with the amount of force I have to use to get them to really stay on there, it does kind of worry me. I've already expressed my absolute dread about these things. Other people that have this toy have told me that their exhaust pipes feel, you know, fairly loose when they go to rotate them. So it doesn't seem to be a completely widespread issue. In fact, the only person that I've seen online that has mentioned anything about Rodimus Prime's braking is myself. As far as I know, I'm the only one that's encountered this. So, you know, I just seem to have gotten really unlucky with a bad batch that's been the local distribution at my targets. So hopefully this is kind of a one-off issue and other people that buy this toy won't have to worry about it breaking. But, you know, time will tell as these see greater and greater distribution. But anyway, back to the toy itself. I like the way it looks. This toy does have quite a few criticisms for people, and not all of it is unwarranted. One thing people don't like is you can see Hot Rod's fists kind of sticking out on the sides, which kind of ruins the illusion of, you know, a singular robot, you know, that's well held together. His legs make up his shoulders and kind of upper arms here, and that's really obvious. I mean, his shoulders are just, they're legs. So a lot of people don't like that. You know, they feel it kind of ruins the illusion for him. The other big criticism I see a lot is Rodimus has a bit of a backpack due to, you know, the transformation. A lot of people don't like the backpack because, you know, Rodimus Prime isn't known for having all this extra kibble on the back here. And I understand that. Again, if you are looking for an extremely accurate Rodimus, this may not be what you're looking for. This definitely makes a lot of changes in order to incorporate the new feature of having Hot Rod become Rodimus Prime. So, again, it really just comes down to what you're looking for. Me personally, I'm happy to have a Hot Rod and a Rodimus that are an all-in-one package, instead of buying two completely separate toys that don't really look very different from each other. One's just kind of a bigger version. Some gripes I personally have about this toy: he is rather back heavy, due mainly to that backpack I mentioned. His knees aren't on ratcheted joints. They're just on like regular friction joints. So, you know, depending on how you pose him, he may be prone to flopping backwards. So you do have to pose him the right way to prevent that. He doesn't have ankle tilt, just like Hot Rod. He just has kind of a natural wide stance. So that does limit what you can really do with him. You know, you can only spread his legs so far or put him so close together. And then, at least on my figure, the tolerances on the little hip/shoulder joints here, a bit loose, especially on this arm here. So if you're trying to get him to kind of raise his arms up a bit, this one likes to flop down. So it's kind of hard to get a very dynamic pose at him because of that. Head articulation's fine, just, you know, rotates back and forth a bit. He does have wrist articulation, so his fists do rotate. And they look really nice because these actually are painted that grayish white that people expect for this character. And it does come out looking really good. You know, some smart paint application. I unfortunately don't have another version of Rodimus Prime to compare this to. I don't have the original one. I don't have the MP9 Rodimus Convoy. So this is all I can really show you guys, unfortunately. The MP9 Rodimus goes for a lot on the secondary market. In fact, the only one I've ever seen was going for over $400. And I'm not particularly a fan of paying over $400 for a toy ever. As much as I love Transformers, I couldn't bring myself to do it unless it was something exceedingly rare and I just needed it that badly in my life. So this isn't the purest Rodimus Prime. That honor would definitely go to MP9. But he is, he's serviceable for anyone that's looking for, reliving their childhood of watching that movie or, season 3 of the cartoon. And they're doing that on a retail budget. This works just fine. It's the first retail Rodimus Prime we've gotten in a long, long time. I personally love the whole evolution gimmick that they've introduced in this line. Just the idea of having a lowly, Autobot, Decepticon, whatever, who then gets upgraded to become a Prime. Not in the 13 sense, but more like the leader sense, Optimus Prime sense. I just think that was a really cool idea. So far the four actually that we know of that are coming are this one, Optimus Prime. There's going to be an evil retool of this guy called Rodimus Unicronus, who's based heavily off of Shattered Glass Rodimus. So that was a really neat, unexpected thing for Hasbro to do. There hasn't really been much acknowledgement of the Shattered Glass universe in mainline retail stuff. It's always been club exclusives, BotCon toys. And then we are, later this year, going to get an Optimus Primal, which is going to be very cool, very interesting. Beast Wars is my favorite series, so I'm excited for that. Whatever we get, into, next year and beyond, who knows? Hasn't come out yet. But my point is, it's a really good idea for a gimmick. Execution's going to vary. I can guarantee you that some of these are going to come out looking better than others, especially for, already established characters, because people have an idea in their head of what a character is supposed to look like. And because they have to take some liberties to make the gimmick work, not everyone's going to like the end result. For me, I really like this toy, when I can find one that doesn't break right away. But I think it's awesome. I've always wanted a real Rodimus Prime. There's all kinds of hot rods and just regular Rodimuses out there. I've got most of them. But this was something that, has been a long time coming for me. It does have some minor, QC issues, not counting the breakage thing. I'm going to consider those a very rare occurrence. But, there's going to be some tolerance problems, I'm sure with people's copies. And that is something I'm seeing a fair bit of in the Power of the Primes line. It seems to be up to a rough start with the QC thing. Titan's Return had the same issue with its initial batch of toys. A lot of people were complaining about, floppy parts. My Skull Cruncher can barely stand up on his own because his hips are so loose, he just wants to fall right over. So with that in mind, you just kind of come to expect this with a new line before they kind of work all the kinks out. It's not an excuse. It really shouldn't happen. I wish it wouldn't happen. I come to expect higher quality out of Hasbro. But every once in a while, they have to stumble a few times before they really get it right. Alright, I've really rambled on a lot in this review. Still getting over a bit of a sickness. That's why my voice sounds a bit different if you pick that up. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here. As always, down below, let me know what you think of this toy, what you thought of the review, whether you're looking to pick this guy up or not. And with all that said, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.